Booktube, happy holidays. Know there's a lot going on this time of the year. Hanukkah's kind of winding down. I personally just got off Christmas. Kwanzaa starting up, which brings me to the purpose of this video. I'm participating in round 3 of Kwanzaa Reflectathon. It's hosted by Jerry over at Onyx Pages. I will include a link to her announcement video in the description box below. She goes through sort of what is Kwanzaa, what is a Kwanzaa Reflectathon, like the sort of prompts for it. And other people who are participating will be posting their videos in the comments. So it's going to be like a hub for all the Kwanzaa Reflectathon activity. But the basic idea is that for every day of Kwanzaa, there is an associated principle, and Jerry over Onyx Pages came up with a reflection prompt on your reading for this year that aligns with the principle of the day. Now, I personally do not celebrate Kwanzaa. I didn't grow up celebrating it. I kind of sort of did in college. There was some programming around it, but I'm doing this Reflectathon because I was invited to and because I feel like the questions really align to the type of reading I like to do, and it just seemed like a fun, low-stress way to kind of like think about what I read this year, maybe think about what I want to read for next year. I'm splitting this video into 2 parts. There are 7 days of Kwanzaa, and I'm doing days 1 through 3 in this part, and then I'm just going to do days 4 through 7 in the next part that I'll put out some other time. So now I can go on to the books. So day 1 is Umoja, which is unity, and the prompt was to think about a book you read this year that celebrates the upliftment of African descended peoples. And the first book that came to mind for me was Everfair by Nisi Shaw. It's an alternative history / historical fantasy set in 1800s Belgian Congo. Around this time, King Leopold II owned the Belgian Congo, and I can't really do justice to it because it's just very horrific. But basically, he used the Congo to like make money for himself, and one of the ways he did that was by forcing the native inhabitants to harvest and process rubber. And, conditions were just horrific. People were raped. People, if they didn't meet their harvesting quota, they might have their limbs cut off. They might have their family members kidnapped, held for ransom. Their limbs might be cut off. And like sort of over the course of King Leopold II's possession of the Congo, I believe like 10 million people died. That's like the general consensus, but historians have different numbers on that. So in this book, Everfair, Nisi Shaw wanted to imagine how could this have been averted? What would the Congo look like potentially, like if that hadn't happened? And so this is sort of like around when King Leopold had like sort of first started extracting rubber from the Congo. In this book, Everfair, a group of socialists and Christian leaders from the United States and from Europe buy some land in the Congo and create this colony called Everfair. And their goal is to sort of serve as a refuge for people fleeing from King Leopold II, and also to serve as a hub for people trying to stop King Leopold II. Main native inhabitants of the Congo characters are King Mwenda and his wife Josina, and it's an ensemble cast, so you don't hear from them like personally as much as I would have liked. But the first arc, King Mwenda and Josina allying with the Everfair colony to try and get King Leopold out of the Congo, and then sort of the second half is like, okay, the colonists are here and they're here to stay, and there are various levels of racist and I would say xenophobic, but I feel like that's not the right word. In particular, a character who's Christian who says some very disrespectful things about the native inhabitants of the Congo because most of them don't practice Christianity, most of them don't want to convert. And it's sort of like King Mwenda and Josina trying to figure out how they're going to maintain their sovereignty and maintain their culture, because now Everfair is here and like they've kind of inserted themselves in a way that was like disrespectful to them. And that made me think of Umoja, because it's ultimately how King Mwenda and Josina sort of use strategy, use spying, preserve their country, basically. That was for day 1. So for day 2, the theme is Kujichagulia, which is self-determination, and the prompt was reflect on an African descended LGBTQ plus character who inspired you because they were determined to act. And for this, I thought of Adala from Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. In this world, Earth isn't habitable anymore, and humans basically live as parasites on these giant, like, moon or planet-sized animals that can live and, like, travel through open space. And I picked Adala because in this society, the labels don't really work like how they do in ours. Like, by default, marriages are made up of multiple men and women, so labels as we use them don't really matter as much. But I would say that Adala is a lesbian. She inspired me because, like, one, she has a very difficult job. So she is basically like a mix of a like custodian slash like plumber and a vet, and her job is to like make sure that the beast stays habitable for like the people living in it, and also like to make sure that the heart stays healthy so that the beast lives as long as possible and they can stay on it as long as possible. And it is a very difficult job. A lot of people die doing it, and she is very skilled and like very determined. Like, she really loves her job and she really wants to do like be the best that she can be. And so that's one thing I really admired about her. And also, I feel like a lot of people abandon her over the course of the book and give up on her. And the reason why she's abandoned is mostly because she sticks to her principles. There are people in the society that almost no one really cares about, and as Adala finds out sort of like how they're treated, and she doesn't really want any parts of it, and she wants to change the society. And as a result, people kind of abandon her and leave her, and that doesn't break her. Like, she finds a new support system. She continues to like champion a world that will treat all of its members equally. She just really goes through it. It's a rough book for Adala, so I picked her. She is very determined. And day 3 is Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. And for that, I thought of 2 books. The first one is Magical Adventures of Pretty Pearl by Virginia Hamilton. It's a middle grade novel about a fictional pantheon of African gods, one of whom is Pretty Pearl, who sort of sees the effects of the transatlantic slave trade on Africa and decides to kind of follow it to the United States and wants to intervene. So she poses as a human and sort of lives with this hidden town of escaped like African American slaves, and sort of throughout it's her working with the townspeople to, you know, make sure everyone's healthy, they have enough food, that they can avoid detection by people who would sell them back into slavery. I thought this really exemplified the principles of Ujima, because the town can really only work if everyone is putting in effort and everyone sort of has different goals and different viewpoints on what the best way is. And so it takes a lot of navigating and compromise to keep the town running. And then the next book I thought of was Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. It is a space opera set in a world where there's sort of 4 main groups of people. I guess you could consider them races because they can all like intermarry and have kids, and they're pretty much humanoid, but each one has sort of like a different defining trait. Like, the one group who we spend the most time on in the series is the Sidiri, and they are very good at telepathy. The Best of All Possible Worlds follows one Sidiri person, Delanak. A massive bioweapon was just dropped on the Sidiri homeworld, and it killed like pretty much everyone on it. It made the planet uninhabitable. And just due to the nature of Sidiri society, it was mostly women on the homeworld. Most of the men were like somewhere else, like exploring space. And so the book is about Delanak and a civil servant of like the refugee town where he's staying, Grace Del Rua, as they sort of assemble a team of people to go look throughout the universe for other Sidiri people who might be interested in helping Delanak and like other Sidiri survivors repopulate the world and rebuild Sidiri culture. And this one made me think of Ujima because, again, a large group of people who are all very different. They're from very different cultures. They have very different views on how this mission will go and if how its goal will best be accomplished. And I thought that really fit into the idea of Ujima. So that is my video for today. I will put up part 2 sometime this week. I would encourage you to check out what other people have posted for Kwanzaa Reflectathon. If you go to the video, I will put in the description box. Other people should be posted in the comments, but also you can go to Njeri's Twitter page and she will be reposting Kwanzaa Reflectathon videos on there. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to stay up to date with me, please hit the subscribe button. I'm also on Twitter. I'm a little more active on there if you want to stay like kind of up to date on my day-to-day bookish activities. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. If you still have holidays going on, hope you get a chance to rest, relax, celebrate, and have the best holiday that you can have. Thank you and goodbye.